Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are going into map number 2 of Prosto, which, yeah, I bet you didn't know that, and QB.Fire. And by you, I meant Scrawny, because we have replaced Harry. He's going to move into his new house, so we've given him a little bit of time to pack his things, probably about 20 minutes or so. He doesn't need it. But we'll be bringing Scrawny in to see the second map of this one, and how are you feeling? I'm guessing you're feeling fresh. It's a little bit earlier in the morning for you, right?
Yeah, bright and early, 9:15 a.m. So I'm fresh-faced and ready to go, Tom. But I need to ask, what did you just pronounce? Is that pro100?
Yeah. So
say that to me again.
My pronunciation is probably wrong. I just want to point that out. Supposedly, it's like saying "Hey presto," but with pro. So it's like prosto, because 100 in Russian or Ukrainian, although they're very similar, is sto, and that was sort of like, I was told it was like a play on words, like that their name. But to anybody who isn't from there, it makes absolutely no sense. So prosto, a lot easier to say than pro100 anyway, because it doesn't have that sort of ring to it. And then QB.Fire or Quantum Bellator Fire, if you want to go all in with the names. But yeah, it looks like we may have a pause TeamSpeak problems, which normally translates to meaning absolutely anything. If they're at home, my normal sort of analysis of them saying TeamSpeak problem normally means that somebody's had a pizza delivered and they have to go to the door to go and get it. But they blame TeamSpeak. Because I've never had a problem with TeamSpeak, although I don't actually use TeamSpeak anymore. Other options are available. But I'm just looking at the buy at the moment from QB.Fire. 2 smokes, 2 Molotovs. Could be a great use to take drop, but I'm intrigued to see what they do with it.
I just like seeing a good utility-heavy buy here on the pistol, so we'll see what they decide to do as we do find QB.Fire heading towards that B site early on. Flarek's going to lead the charge for the defense, and it's not a B stack from Prosto, which is something generally you can see here on Cobble. Instead, they opt for the 3-man A, and it is going to be Quantum Bellator just setting up for this rapid B take. Undo's already inside of drop down, and he finds no resistance. So the team just pushes on fire. That's going to be Balbina able to find Kenzor first and foremost. There's a man still in the corner here from Flarek. He's going to drop one before Fanat trades it back. Bomb not yet planted, but another frag goes the way of the offense.
And it leaves not only Smike dinked, but Crush, the only one left, and he doesn't last very long. The T-side have got themselves a pistol and an important start. Because I didn't even think about it. Of course, you weren't hit for the first map, but it was pretty dominant in favor of Prosto. They managed to get themselves a 16-4 win, and interestingly, that was straight off the back of a 16-4 loss on the exact same map. So complete leaps and bounds from how they were playing earlier. Vega Squadron, I think, by far the best team so far in this tournament, although I think if anybody's going to give them a run for their money, it'll be Tengri, and that's coming up in the next map. Either way, match. We could have 3 maps for all we know. Double Mac 10, couple of AKs, a UMP up against the pistols. Flarich actually the one saving a little bit, which is interesting. Maybe because he got a kill, more likely drop the AWP, or just wants a second deagle in the next round, which has been something that he likes to pull in a lot of the time. Either way, drop control already in the hands of the T's.
Is going to try to duel off first, but there is a second man here, so Kenzor is just trying to bait him into the crosshair of death. He's not biting on the bait just as of yet. We do see the bomb still sitting over towards T-spawn within the museum waiting, but there's 2 frags immediately from Prosto, so a 5 versus 3 comes out of nowhere, and it's up to Itzma to try and wiggle this back. Meanwhile, Kvik's going to find a kill at the A site, but Crush, coming out from the corner, hits a Deeg. Itzma hits the dirt, and suddenly that 4v2 is still on the table until Undo deals at least with that 1 threat. So they're still outmanned, but they're not outgunned. AK and Mac-10, 50 points of health for Undo. T-side just pushing out through the smoke onto Plat. Another falls, and the last does as well. Prosto able to upset after the pistol.
Did you switch mics in between? Because the quality of your mic just went up by like a ridiculous amount for me.
The first round I didn't realize, but when switching mics, it auto maxes volume, and then I realized that I was probably just destroying eardrums, so I turned down the volume, which then makes it sound much better.
Yes, it does. But
bamboo.
Oh, Smike is a man after my heart. XM in play, my favorite weapon. Over, up close, and he does nothing. He did. Someone get rid of him. Subbed out. He needs to be subbed out. Kenzo also going to go down. I have no idea how he just killed himself. Absolutely no clue. Didn't witness that one, but it is going to be the T's now looking to break straight back, and Albina now the one with the XM. He's actually choosing to use the less powerful Tech 9, but it still works anyway. Flaric alone. Takes one, takes two. Had a brilliant previous round. He's got the AK as well. Takes a third for himself. Looking for the fourth, and magnificent stuff from Flaric. 4 kills. I think that was all in one clip as well.
Those last 2 frags were so crucial. He's lucky he gets 2 separate duels, but he sees it coming, knows the last man's going to peek out from the stables, and he is able to just win both. Despite already being tagged slightly, despite being so deep into the magazine, Flaric with a crucial round right there. I mean, we just saw that upset after the pistol. Pro100 is just certainly not wanting to... Yeah, not wanting to get upset themselves. And because of Flaric, they're actually able to survive. So it's going to be QB back onto pistols. This time, they do have some Kevlar for undo, but the flashbang's already been used, and they are just going to try to charge out towards the A site. Bomb lingering towards B, might try to either sneak in a defuse or try to join forces through connector, but it's fan out with the opener, and now undo is going to get pushed back as well. So offense closing the distance towards the A site, pick up the ump, but bodies dropping as Smike returns the frag.
I'm intrigued by this bomb position, because I don't think they thought this push onto the A site was going to be anywhere near as successful as it has been. They pretty much take the site completely for themselves. The great thing about this is, though, they can rotate in, but look who it is. Flaric. Players with no armor, pushing into his crosshair, lines up 2, does enough at least for now to deny them pushing onto the site, and since then we see Kenza making the rotation. He'll be able to pick up one of his own and undo with armor, with an AK, but can't connect the shots. Falls, and now some stabilization can come in, although QB.Fire, that was only an eco, so to take down a player or 2 with them, not bad. They've made things very costly for this CT side, and it's only really Flaric who had any money at the beginning of this round, and the rest of the team fully buying in.
Yeah, like in the last round, how we see Quantum Bellator really pick up the pace despite only being on the pistols. They close the distance to the A site as fast as possible, and had they gotten 1 or 2 kills, forcing the rotation out of Prosto, then maybe the bomb could have dropped into B, won a duel of his own, and actually got that cash flow rolling. But it's not the case. Luckily for them, they are back onto the guns, as mentioned. So they've got full utility for the most part, barring It's My. No op present in play from either team, but already Smike's going to feel the heat towards long A and fall back. Good idea, considering there's 3 opponents on the other side of that, a 4th with bomb towards the lower yard, and he too is going to get reinforcements as they're going to boost a man on top of Humpty Dumpty.
Be making too much presence over towards this A site as of yet due to the utility being expended. But Prosto are beginning to run low. A minute left on the clock. They have a smoke, 3 flashbangs, but that is all. Crush in the meantime getting up close. They've got 2 players to support him as well. The B site looking vulnerable, but T's already seem fairly dedicated, and the flash is perfect. Crush able to pick up 2. It's My going actually for the repeat. I'm not a fan of that from Crush. He's bought them enough time and more the boost as well. Smike will do a 1-for-1 trade, enabling them a decent position pushing forward into this round.
Flaric has already rotated as well, but now It's My coming in from long A, has to duel versus Def, and he goes down, as does the last. So, Prosto, thanks to Crush, get that opening 2 frags. Again, he goes for the repeat, so trying to really hammer it home, and he loses his life. But Smike, boosted up above, is able again to trade 1 and done. So, Prosto able to maintain that man advantage, all thanks to Crush's opening play, which comes in off of the back of a fantastic team flash. So nice little bit of teamwork here from the defense of Prosto. They read into the fact that QB.Fire had taken long A control, that there was odds of a man being down below, and then they used that information to net them a 5v3 turned victorious round. It's going to leave Quantum Bellator Fire on only pistols, some Kevlar to play off of. But with enough flashbangs, they could still try to play some aggressive pushes, as we saw towards Long A. You can always try and overwhelm the drop-down defense. And if you get that opening kill, you grab a gun. Who knows where that goes?
Important to note that the reason they're buying down so far into this round with only 1,000 left on some of the players is due to the loss bonus being fully maxed at this point. They're going to go aggressive. This is a fast push out towards this B site. Counter nades doing a lot of damage though. Fnatt Rocker on 16 HP as he attempts to get into drop. They will allow him to have it, but the amount of damage that's already been done, the rotations, a player being pulled from that sort of connector position. Def now going to cover to make sure nobody can get out the window. Drop presence heavy thus far, but the amount of just sheer damage that's been done by the CT side leads the T's to actually fall back. They're going to leave one player and drop, but Fnatt's so low that, if anything, he may go down without much of a fight at all.
T-side also now out of flashbangs and man down, so they used the utility they had, but now the kills come through. It is going to be Crush, who's near overwhelmed by the first, dropped by the last, as it's Undo with 2. Smike sitting on 2 points of health and the bomb in his hand, as long with the AK, but Smike just creeps out from the closet and he's able to seal this round off. So again, we see the couple of flashbangs try and take that drop/plat control. The counter grenades from the defense were able to push back platform, but the man inside of drop was still their lead. They duel off on the window, trading one frag out. They, scuttle towards the A site in a last-ditch effort, but ultimately, Prosto able to control the round. And this time, they invest into an op. So the first time we've seen one here on Cobblestone, and it's in the hands of Smike. Nothing in the form of ops on the T side, as it is going to be 5 AKs and full utility yet again, with an early push towards the platform yet once more.
Early nades really not doing too much to the CT defense. Plenty of players ready. Flashbang going to completely catch Fnatt as he just lurks in the smoke. Kenza going to be jumping up, but it's his teammate Flourish this time to have absolutely no impact. Kenza able to at least trade something back, fall back towards the site himself. Crush doing damage, can't quite convert any of these kills. It's all been Kenza so far. Well, you look towards these remaining CT players, they're isolated, but do have a good chance in this round. Quick, however, going to close that down all onto Smike. He's pulled off crazy beats before, but this is a little bit too much for him. Well, no more 1v3s, thankfully. You weren't here for that in the previous map, but it blew my mind.
You still sound a little frazzled by it, Tom.
Yeah, no, it would just the fact that I've still remembered it out of the amount I've casted over the last couple of days, it shows how impressive it was. It was silly from QB.Fire, but at the same time, 1v3 in any sort of position is going to be impressive. Well,
speaking of impressive, that was a nice little smoke take, actually, onto the B site there from QB.Fire. So now that they're into the guns, now that they have those grenades, we see that classic wall of smoke really isolates the 2 players who are defending the site. And when Kenzor goes down for free, they were really much relying on the second man there, who, while did slow things down, unable to take more than 2 frags on the round. And ultimately, QB.Fire convert. Now, QB.Fire have pushed straight out of middle. Kvik already sitting underneath the half wall. 2 players still over towards Long A for Prosto, so they actually have an idea of this defense being sound. When in reality, there's a man kind of behind enemy lines right now. So the Bomb and Co are all shifting their attention towards the B site, where there's only 2 defenders. Kvik is in an excellent position to cut off any rotations, and he's already getting audio cues as well. So this round could easily go the way of Quantum Bellator, as long as Kvik comes up big.
Been spotted though, and this could be absolutely nothing achieved. Crush will remove him from the round. The push in the meantime going to come in over towards this B side, but the Molotov is going to buy so much time to just push these players back. Although actually, we'll see Kenza over peak in this situation, trying to find out information for his team. Now there's still presence in drop. The CT's already in position for this retake scenario. The bomb yet to go down.
Now it's just down to Fnatt on the site, and he's 2 done with. Undo tries to peek, but Smike smites him down. Fantastic little op play there from Prosto, able to defend the site. I mean, that was a gun round that only included 3 guns for Prosto. The 2 pistol arrows, towards the earlier bout deal with Quick, who is still sitting over towards that corner, who doesn't get the headshot over the top of the half wall. And then we see that kind of scramble back to the B site from Prosto. They're able to win multiple duels as Quantum Bellator can't kind of execute harmoniously. And ultimately, that leaves the offense on just pistols. So we've got 3 Deagles, 2 Glocks, and a little bit of Kevlar. And again, we're going to see this rapid push towards long A. They slow things down as they begin to walk, but Prosto not playing hyper-aggressive here. They're leaving Def to spot the angle, Molotov in hand, so he'll be able to burn out any opponents that try to overwhelm him. He has the support from Smike as well, the Opper, keeping his eyes on lower. This is a defense that's already starting to rotate over as well, so they have wind of what is about to appear. Players starting to come around the corner, Smite taking the first, but Def gets overwhelmed as Crush's nade takes another. There's the shotgun from Crush, though, as he pops 2 with the buckshot. Kenzor takes the last.
7-2 scoreline as well for Prosto over on this CT side, looking strong, and QB.Fire not that far away from being eliminated from this tournament, finishing, if they do lose, in the same spot they did last time. In fact, it was Quick's old team that finished in 3rd previously, so may not be the best decision for him. We'll see how this goes. I think they're relatively new in terms of him being in the roster, standing in for them for a while. Either way, well, Prosto, they're a completely new team, and they've been highly impressive so far. Pins are being tagged down early into this one. T's very limited in terms of their utility. Actually, they're going to be sneaking through here. They could actually catch out a couple of players. Def is going to be up close, not going to be able to do anything here. And Smite going to have to turn around with the AWP, but it looks like the T's may expect this sort of play.
Yeah, he's scoped in, so there's a possibility of the audio cue, but they've also both turned their backs, so maybe they missed it. They do. Smike's able to peek wide, catches 1 frag, the pop flash over the wall as well. Could get Quick. He is at least pinned in the corner. Smike unsure as to his position as the bomb still sits inside Museum. There's Quick finally hitting this A-site flank, but Crush meanwhile drops Balbina inside connector. 3-on-3 is what we're left with a health advantage in the hands of QB.Fire. Quick just needs to hang on to this A-site control as the rest of the team comes over. They're going to have a smoke for connector, so that should ensure the cross. Grenade could bounce off in all sorts of angles to try and clear out the cubbies as well. They know these players are lit. They have to. But it's Crush with 45 to find the next frag. That's Quick down and a 3v2 on the table.
Bissmire's position is going to be the most crucial here, as he can stop a lot of players as they go to cross, normally without being spotted. Problem is, he's so wary of somebody flanking in. It's been enough time that they can definitely make their push to the side, but it's actually undo to find the first, and the remaining 2 players over on this CT side so low on HP. Crush gonna go pushing in, needs to find this kill instantly, and does, and can actually get onto the side, but look at the plant position. It's just cruel. Not really anything he can do here, trying to defuse from a position that just isn't going to be possible. Well planted, well played. And a 3rd round from QB.Fire.
I mean, Quick has huge impact there coming up the A ramp. Despite Smike being able to find that pick from the side stairs, Quick is still able to just kind of push up. We saw the flashbang usage as well, so they tried to premeditate that kind of an aggression, but he's able to just sneak into the corner and then jump over the wall unspotted, clears out the site, hangs on long enough for the rotation to come through, and QB.Fire now have 3 rounds on the board with a better buy than that of Prosto. I mean, Prosto still have the op presence, which the T side doesn't, but it's Kenzor on a 5-7 and limited nades already, a single kit for Def, and a man advantage for QB.Fire. Smike tries to get aggressive there, and it costs him his life. Bissmire and Co. now sending an array of nades over the wall, trying to execute forward here, but there are 3 defenders already in position. Kenzor up close.
Force one off the 5-7. Able to do a bit of damage at least. The mag will get 1-2, bringing it back to a closer scenario. CT side still have players very close to the site as well. They need to be isolated. Fnatt able to pick up this AWP. Doesn't have any head armor, so vulnerable to both of these players. And Bissmire is the one that needs to sort of try and push forward here, although he's actually holding the bomb. Still got plenty of time to play with, however. Utility at a minimum for both teams. But it's all just a bit of a stalemate as they try to peek around these corners. It's the T's that ultimately have to make their move. Def can just try and get as close as possible, but Itzmai is the first to pounce. Gets one kill, traded back at least. Only one bullet to the head is needed, but it's the Glock to finish things off. And Fnatt Rocker saves them again.
Crucial round as well. We can see the economy from Prosto now left in shambles. Most rich player would be Crush, and he buys into the Deeg. So now QB.Fire gets some, or at least should be getting some easy rounds on the board. They're again going to have full guns. They've got all the nades in the world. They just need to play proper anti-eco. We haven't seen them shy away from the A bomb site, which is generally quite promising. But as well on Cobble, you can just go for that straight up B rush with guns. You can just overwhelm the platform and then hope you don't get caught up in some kind of double frag. But it's actually a boost with Fnatt Rocker and Itzmai, the bottom of the totem pole. So they post up the op on an unorthodox angle and just wait for a CT to walk in. Meanwhile, pro100 are going to clear out towards the A site. They get aggressive, they spot the doors, see nothing, and decide to change their attention towards the B site. It's there that QB.Fire are slowly pushing their way in. Balbina clearing out drop down, again spotting 0 targets. So at this point, QB.Fire know the CTs are on the site, but which of the two?
Crush as well. Not with a huge amount of information because of the smoke. It is enough that the rest of his team can gamble. They're all over towards drop. In fact, they're actually going to go rotating back just as the push begins to come in. That's a little bit of timing that goes against them in this scenario. And because of that, well, Flaric able to get one. Balbina looking to trade things back. Actually, Flaric gets 2. This is more than enough damage than they would have expected. And Crush, he's got his Deagle. If he can drop a 3rd, this is a very costly round for the T's. But Fnatt will at least restore some normality. Flaric, I don't know how he gets 2 kills with the USP, but clearly he knows something I don't.
How to aim?
That is probably it. That is probably it. Never quite mastered that one.
A pause, Tom. Good time for it. We're now 13 rounds deep in this first half. It has been very back and forth. Not at the beginning of it, seeing as it was a 5-1 score from Prosto, but 3 consecutive now for QB.Fire. That last one, of course, being the anti-eco. Somewhat costly, but not costly enough to keep them off of guns. Still 4 AKs in the op for QB.Fire. Nice full buy from Prosto as well. Little light on nades, no kit, so they're really going to want to hang on to a bomb site. And they can't go for those opening duels versus the opposing op either. So they need to play safe, kind of like they did in that last round, where we see them just group up towards the back of tree, over towards rock, and allow for QB.Fire to execute in. They just need to play proper counter nades and then actually hold down some bomb sites with the sprays in order to ensure that they don't lose this one.
I do like Prosto's tweet about that Flaric 1v4. Flaric cleans up after mistakes of his team. I like it. I like it. They gave him the props, but also were like, yeah, no, we made mistakes here. We know that it wasn't all good in that round. Either way, T's, quick push, making their way up that A ramp. Smike in a decent position to flank them, however, although Fnatt playing a little bit slower, but the AWPer is actually going to go pushing. The rest of the team hitting, defense, literally. It's Def to climb one, crush through the smoke to get a double, and still in the back lines. We now have Smike just being the bane of their life. Balbina, the only one left alive, going to try and peek this angle, and even with a huge HP advantage, Smike is going to connect. Back on the board for Prosto after a 3-round hiatus. And now the T's, well, they're going to force, but they might leave themselves with very little going into the final round.
I really liked the momentum of that last round. I mean, we see QB.Fire really want to clash as soon as they come into it. They go charging up that ramp. They've already smoked off connector door. They try to frag it as well, but it's at that point that Crush just kind of comes running back through it, distracting them long enough for the flank from Smike, which comes in from long A, to hit up 2. He falls back to the suicide stairs, keeps himself alive, and then clears out the last man. So CT's pushing when QB.Fire attempt to push themselves, and it's just a nice explosive, aggressive round, which this one could also be, as we find the T side just charging out of platform. Fnatt taking down one of his own, but also 2 of his opponents. 3v4 here to the favor of QB.Fire. Bomb now planted and heavy site control. Smoke still plumed as Def is able to respond with one. Fana at Raka lit, and dwindling utility here for QB.Fire. Def, 50 points of health, but Smike is on the site, and he's able to take another. Spraying towards Balbina. He will be dropped down, so Def needs to clutch in a 1v2. Balbina spots his side, and Fana takes his head.
Hugely important round as well for QB. Aggressive push out onto the B site, and these are sort of the fundamentals that we've seen from them in the earlier days. Like we saw them, and I don't mean like when they were young, I mean a couple of days ago. They managed to pull off just these aggressive pushes. One of the best maps they had was on the T side of Mirage, where they just went for basic strategies, throwing in sort of simple smokes, and then having themselves just the effective trade game. That's something they're very good at. I think a lot of the time they've been overcomplicating things, and in that round it worked perfectly. Coming a little bit closer probably than they would have liked, but either way it's a round, and it secures them a bye. And not only that, but it sets their opponents back to very little. 2 M4s and pistols to play with a little bit of utility and only 1 kit. Definitely not the way the Prosto would have been wanting to end this half.
So many flashbangs right now. Everybody's blind. Everybody's just rattling rounds down range, and Vic actually hits himself a kill. Fana with another one here, so the defense and flank starting to fall, but still 3 defenders standing. Make that 2 as Undo is able to get another. Crush, Kenzor still on the site. Balbina leading the charge here, but the pistols are going to stop them. Crush near finds another until Undo seals the deal. So 8-7 the score at the end of the half here, and Prosto able to hang on to that lead, but it looked much more commandeering at the beginning of this half.
And this is by nowhere near a death sentence as what we saw on the first half earlier, when Prosto actually dominated the T side of Nuke. This time an 8-7, fairly reasonable for either side. I feel like QB would have wanted a bit more over on the T side, but considering 7-2 down was the way they actually started this half, to get 5 of the last 6 is definitely a resurgence. A pistol round to help them out, get that economy rolling, and I could definitely see them taking this map. But Prosto definitely going to feel confident as well going onto that T side. Of course, they've already got themselves a map advantage. They dominated on the T side of Nuke, so surely the T side of Cobble should be easy.
Actually kind of interesting here that in the opening 6 rounds, Prosto takes 5. In the closing 6 rounds, QB.Fire takes their 5. And it all comes down to that 3-round middle ground, which actually includes a hard economic reset versus QB.Fire. So really cool that they're able to weather the storm and still put a respectable score on the board. But they have their work set out for them. Prosto now on the T side. How have their T sides been so far this tournament, Tom?
On Nuke, last map it was very, very good, but in some of the other maps it hasn't been so. I think a lot of the time it came down to their T sides, at least on Cobble. So the fact that they've managed to get 8 rounds on the CT side, I think they should be set against. But the thing is, they've only played Spartak, and it's kind of hard to say because Little is so pinnacle to them, and he's not very good at cobblestone. So it's definitely a question to be asked. Molotov actually on the CT side's an interesting one. We'll hold back this push out onto flat, but it's not going to stop the players coming from drop. However, it looks like Balbina may be the one to do just that. However, trades across the board with the T's actually coming out on top in this pistol round. Will be Balbina once more to do a little bit more damage. Quick. Looking to try and help him out. The 2 players on the T side are isolated at the moment. I think they're trying to be a little bit sneaky with their position, but Smike again, he's so deadly in these pistol rounds. Doubles down with his second. However, Quick with a smoke, a kit, but only 30 HP.
Smike's going to try to round the corner, and it's another duel here. Health being dwindled down on each side of the spectrum. Smoke goes wide to the smoke, but Vic doesn't watch his flank. And it's there that Smike peeks out. So Smike with some aggressive peeks, probably knowing that he has a bit of a health advantage on that one. And then ultimately just winning the duels with the body shots. So very close pistol, actually. But Prosto will be counting their lucky stars that they're able to walk away with that. I mean, you mentioned that Molotov on the CT side, slowing them down over towards the platform. I like to see that, actually. But when players come just spewing out of the drop down, that defense is going to get clotheslined, and that's exactly what happens. QB.Fire just getting overwhelmed, trying to clutch it back in that 1v1. But unfortunately for Kvik, he comes up empty-handed. Won't be empty-handed in this round, actually. She's hanging on to that Mag 7, as it is pistols and Kevlar with nades for the rest of the lineup.
Yeah, he's playing what I like to call the snacks. This is where we've seen Virtus Pro Star do so much damage in the past. Difficult position to hold, but doesn't look like anybody's going to be coming that way, at least for now, although a couple of players looking tempted. Flourish with an AK as well. If he was the one to push in, that could be detrimental. Something else to point out is the fact that I think both of these pistols, or at least the last few, especially in the last map as well, it's been Smike in clutch situations, and he always seems to win. Either way. Quick will get one. But in the meantime, the rest of the team are going to pounce onto the site. We've got Balbino with the deagle, and in fact, he gets himself a double, giving them hope in this round. Crush is going to go down as well, and it leaves Just Death in a 1 versus 3. He's going to rotate away, has an AK, has the bomb. Weapons yet to be picked up by the CT side, and they're not really alluding to the fact that it has been a rotation. Although now, Undo, a man with only 9 HP, is going to be the only one on site.
Def just needs to find some kills before the rest arrive, and he's going to start with that one onto Undo. Sees the second man, but he's going to get dinked up and go down. It is the force buy from QB.Fire, which actually pays off, and it's heartbreaking to watch, Tom, because the deagle peek from Connector could have been prevented from the Molotov, and they threw a Molotov as well from Prosto, except for that it missed. Bounced back into his face, left that position uncovered, and then the deagle swings wide with a double frag, and that is soul-crushing. QB.Fire back with momentum as they'll buy straight into the rifles here in the 18th round. It is Kevlar and Tech 9s with a couple of smokes and a couple of flashbangs for Prosto to try and work with. They're immediately going to go to the long A control, and they're going to find it for free as the defense instead sits on the site. Def clearing out corners, making sure that there's no defenders here just trying to play sneaky. So, with the 2 smokes, or 1 rather, and that double flashbang, they could be able to overwhelm the site. They've got 3 players still here, 1 back at the bottom of A, and then Crush, who's going to be playing that long con in from Connector.
Give away the sound cue, so he's here. Molotov straight into deny, but now the push comes out, and Quick's going to get overwhelmed. Fanat the same. It's only 1-for-1 trades, which in these rifle situations aren't good enough. Again, Crush from behind will be able to do the damage. Balbino has even done. Warline misses the spray completely with his UMP and leaves Bissmire in a situation where he has to clutch. We've already seen them reset in the first half after winning the pistol. Looking like they may be reset again after winning the second, but Bissmire stands between these T's. Being able to do just that. Crush with the AK. They've yet to retrieve the other M4 either. Crush, well placed though, and his flank flawless in that round. 3 kills and gives a 10th to Prosto.
I mean, this game is just Crush and Smike. Both players now sitting above 20 frags. Again, we see that Tech 9 aggression coming into the A site. Both teams now employing that in their T halves. This one very successful. Still 2 defenders there as well, and they both get toppled with relative ease. There's that duel inside of Connector between Crush and then that last remaining CT player, barring Bissmire. This is force buy after force buy. 3 consecutive now, just switching back and forth. And we are going to have QB.Fire with, again, the Mag 7, this time in the hands of Balbina. It is just pistols for everyone else, but at least they've got the Kevlar, they've got themselves the defuse kit. We've seen them do more with less, but will Prosto make the same mistake? They're going to start to gear up for the A-site take, but they've left 2 players behind them, and the guys inside Connector could distract them long enough for that flank to shine through. Unfortunately for QB.Fire, the bomb site has now fallen, and long A as well as Smike gets into position.
And Flourish looks well aware. Could be a flanking play, except multiple players actually just watching for any sort of flank. Although Smike, well, even with the P90, the horrific weapon that it is, he can get himself a double kill. Balbina and Bissmire now the last 2 left, and I think they realize that this round is over. Going to be holding back, trying to keep the weapons that they have in play. But it does look like these force buy wars have come to an end. I don't see the CT side reinvesting into the next, especially considering the next 2 rounds of loss bonus, they'll be able to afford a buy. Well, Albina still gets to keep his mag 7. Now, at the moment, the potential for an AWP seems pretty slim. At least not a glass cannon one. But if he can get a kill or 2 with this mag in the next round, if they can set him up well, maybe someone purchase a flashbang, we could see an AWP come in over onto Fnatt, or maybe even Quick, depending on the positions that they're playing. And that could make a big difference. I feel like they look a little bit flat at the moment, although we're yet to really see a buy on either team because of the way things have gone.
We get another mag 7 at least here, Tom. Balbina's going to hang on to that. So, let's hope this time it finds a bit more success if the CTs can put up a fight, but it's Smike already just aggressing from A, clearing out connector and finding it completely open. Flair just going to get damaged upon it. Undo takes the frag, but Crush is able to drop 2 as Smike finds the 3rd, Crush with the 4th, and the entirety of the defense near destroyed. Balbina's got the shotgun, but not at this distance. Tries to get to the rock, but the pro100 is just too much to deal with.
Imagine this will be a tactical pause coming out from QB.Fire. Not in a situation that wanted to be in. They looked so good in the best of 1 scenarios on the first day, but seems like teams they're coming up against now just outclassing them in most aspects. Smike even going to keep this P90 into this round, or is he? He's actually going to switch it over to Def. He wants a little bit of fun with the P90. If they are to lose this round, then they have the chance to rebuy anyway. And 2 players, maybe even a 3rd, without head armor means that that weapon's going to be just as deadly as any other. Yeah, 3 players without head armor. Much more utility than possibly expected, but a minimal investment into incendiaries, which in terms of slowing down B pushes is so important.
They at least have that 1 on Balbina, so they could use it early on if they want to ensure that the push doesn't happen. And it looks like that's what they'll do. Balbina chucks it up and over, but the majority of the T side already heading out towards Plat. Def's going to round out the flank, keep an eye on the counter boost, but there's nothing coming in. So we are going to find pro100 just setting themselves the smokes. That's the classic wall with a Molotov to boot, flashbangs to follow suit, and Balbina still holds drop. So there's 2 players on the site itself, but 1 has now fallen. Undo's able to swing it with 1 of his own, but it's a 5v3, suddenly 3v2. I mean, that just happens in a matter of seconds. Kills every which way. Bomb drop for the time being, giving time to Fnatt Rocka to rotate over. But Def now coming in from drop, 2-pronged assault, and Smike hits the headshot, leaving it just down to Rocka.
Okay, comes up against it. He has a P90, so be able to take that one, but the remaining 2 players actually going to peek out. That was a little bit overzealous from Smike. Going to give him a chance back into this one, and actually Fnatt is just going to hit the headshot instantly. Mistakes made by Prosto, but Fnatt punishes them. Able to win that round out of nothing, and well, that's a bit of a throwaway. QB going to get one. They probably shouldn't. The problem is, as said, there are a few weapons still in play from the previous, such as the P90. Now, the 4-buy coming in, likely to have an AWP and the high chance of a reset. Fnatt actually making enough money for himself in that round, alongside, obviously, the Kevlar he already had to buy an AWP. This could be a chance for them to get back into this one. Of course, if they lose this map, they are eliminated from the minor. They will finish in 4th place. Not a bad position to be in overall, but they want more.
I mean, in the first half, we see QB.Fire have to deal with that hard reset in the 7th round, and then they were still able to weather the storm and put 5 of the 8 next on the board. This is another opportunity where we see them get reset in the 17th, barring that, or right after that pistol force. And now this is their chance to really swing it in, but they have to convert this point. And unfortunately for them, it's down to the 4v5 already. The hard economic reset would put them back again another couple of rounds. It's going to start to curb their buy, force their hand, and put them onto rifles at a lackluster buy. So this one ever so crucial. Smike and Flarich going to be playing the totem pole, trying to boost over the smoke and get lines of sight, but it's Balbina up close to pop one head. Kenzor on long doing damage himself, but Flarich dropped. That's a 3-on-3 now on the cards. Def deals with the man coming in, but It's My does another. Crush, however, has lurked through connector, and he catches the rotator over. That is undo, undid, and it is just going to be down to the 1v2 as It's My has to clutch. We saw Fanat Raka in the previous round do exactly this, but the bomb now on site. Crush up close, and Crush now dropped as Def will take the last. There it is, Prosto with another hard reset.
This has got to be devastating for QB.Fire. Every single time they manage to get around, falling flat, and we're even going to see attack pause come in. Now, Prosto, I don't know if they're the ones doing this. We saw this earlier from Tengri. They are the ultimate BM team. Like when they get to 14, right? I think it was something like 14-4 or something dominating earlier. They call a pause and just sit there for 30 seconds. Like, just as a sort of BM. I think this may not be the case. They had a few problems in that round that they want to address. Only one player surviving, of course, so it is coming a little bit too close for their liking. Same can be said for the round before. Looks like all pauses have been used by them as well. So if that is the case, and that was a BM pause, if things come back to haunt them, that could be quite funny.
These are the kinds of rounds that I was alluding to, Tom. Now we're going to have the double ump, triple pistol arrow, light utility buy. QB.Fire recognizing that Prosto are ever so close to the finish line. They're going to invest with what they had. I mean, again, that double save on the cards, so why not gamble it here in this? Again, we've seen them win more with less, but will Prosto allow them to capitalize yet again? Will Prosto make the same mistakes? They cannot underestimate the defense, despite it being weakened. It is going to be the early Molotov towards drop down. Bomb left inside Museum, and Crush is boosted up. So I'd love to see Prosto just keep things slow in this one. We see two players over towards long, watching for pushes, forcing QB.Fire to play honest. If they're able to catch that man advantage early on here to the A site, then they can just group themselves together and then execute forward as a unit. Meanwhile, they also have Crush boosted on platform, so they're just waiting for pushes all across the board.
Control challenged for by the C-side, clearing angles with all the utility they have, something the CTs are struggling with at the moment. They haven't actually fallen into the drop, but CT side will know that they no longer have any control in this sort of situation. It's Mike trying to spray through the smoke as he's forced off plat, but look at the flank. Two players already on the rotation. The T's, they need to get their move on, and they will. Straight out onto the site, but it's trades galore at the moment. The remaining two players are coming in from behind, although, in fact, they actually switched. Fanat going back in a different direction, and Albina going to drop down, mainly because of the weaponry that they have, a lot closer range, and Smike just carrying on all the way through this match. He's been absolutely phenomenal. Gonna be spamming shots away, and the peak comes in from Kenzo. I actually wonder, obviously Smike was in Hellraisers for a little bit, if he's just picked up some tricks along the way, because Hellraiser's always been very good at cobblestone, so maybe he just kind of stole some of them, put them into his own pocket, because he's 29-14.
And I mean, that's the kind of individual performance that can single-handedly win games. You add into the equation that Crush is 27 and 17. Well, you can afford a guy like Def who only has 9 frags. Not that, you know, he's missing out on too many opportunities, but it's just where are the kills for him to take when you have two players firing off like this? Prosto just asserting themselves through individual performance, and QB.Fire not necessarily responding back. And they shouldn't in this round either. It's just going to be the P250s. Nothing else to play off of. The execution into the B bomb site already here from Prosto. Crush to take the first. The men on site overwhelmed as Balbina jumps to the rock, trying to find an angle. Fanat rotating over through the drop down, trying to bolster the defense here, but the bomb's not yet planted, and there's a frag to the CT side. Still gunfire rattling through the smokes every which way, as now the device is active. We've got the players still sitting on the site itself, with the majority of the Ds towards the flat. Crush with one, Vic with another. It is still a 3v2, but the flank starts to come on through, and it's there that Fanat should fall. As he's got 12 health, Def will take him down. And that is Prosto securing OT at the very, very least.
What will return from this CT side is not going to be a particularly good buy either. They'll have rifles across the board, smokes on the majority of players, but again, it's just been that plat control that they've really been struggling with, and without an early incendiary to sort of just quell the T's, it's just not working for them. Most of the stuff, again, we talk about the more basic of strategies, just able to utilize their nades and just smoke down onto that B site, and that's all that's really been needed from Prosto to take over the site itself. Not seeing the performance that we saw on the first day from QB.Fire, but they have to step it up in this one. Crush gonna be sneaking around that smoke on Plat as well, looking to try and make the same sort of plays he's made throughout this map so far. He hits 31st, overtaking Mike, but those two have just been phenomenal.
You can feel the tension in this round. CT side not getting over aggressive, trying to hang on to some of their utility. They're actually going to go for that deep smoke on the B platform so that they can peek out here. Undo is going to get tagged to a quarter's health, and he decides to fall back. So they try to get a little bit of map control here, but they're not able to secure it because Prosto are already here. Looks like the B site split is what's on the table. Balbina dropped early on as Flarich executes out, takes two, and Crush the third. Fanet Quick gonna have to clutch this out to keep QB.Fire alive, but it is just Fanet now 1v3. He's gonna drop two, and maybe the third as Crush is still towards the highway. Pop Flash misses, but it's through the wood. Crush with the final frag.
That is the survival for Prosto. They will continue in this tournament. They've got a guaranteed third place, but third is not what anybody's here for. In fact, I would even go as far to say as the money is not what anybody's here for either. This is all about the qualification. This is all about getting through to the major qualifier. And they've still got one more match to play tomorrow. However, coming up, we will get our first qualified team. One of the next two, either Tengri or Vega Squadron, will be heading on to the major qualifier to face off against the top teams from Europe, NA, and Asia. We'll be back after the break to see who that team is.